welcome to another episode of the Pro-Tax podcast. I'm Jennifer Nelson. I lead the national tax recruitment team here at Pro-Tax. Today on the sofa we have Dan Packwood. Dan, introduce yourself.
So I'm Dan, husband of Kay, dad of two, and for my second role, it's not dad, I'm a partner at PwC and lead our private business tax practice in the Midlands, which is a tax practice of about 70-ish people of varying grades that do nothing but private business, private client support. Businesses where we know who the founder is, we know who the decision maker is, it's them we're talking to typically.
Fantastic. So what we want to talk about today is, well, really sort of, explore a topic as to whether there is a type of profile that fits a Big Four and PwC. So what I've heard throughout the course of my career in recruitment is that the Big Four, people have come to me saying, do they hire just people that are graduates? Do they hire people that come from, other Big Fours or, other large corporates? Do they have to hire people from certain class backgrounds even? So this is what we really want to explore with you today. And you've had obviously such a successful career with PwC, but I suppose as a good sort of starting ground, let's go way back when to your days before PwC.
Yep. So I've been in private business, shall we say, for 22 years now, 15 of which were at PwC. And so 7 years before that I was at smaller firms. And going sort of back to the very beginning in 2004, 2005, I can't remember exactly which it is. School years sort of elude me a bit now. But I was planning to go to university and study engineering.
Okay.
And I got a text message from my dear mother saying, the local accountant are recruiting for apprentices. Do you want to apply for that? And I thought, well, I'm pretty good with spreadsheets. I quite like numbers. Why not? I'll go along and see what that's about. So I went to my accounting apprenticeship interview and sat in reception, looking at the literature that sort of more local firms tend to have in their reception. And as I was reading stuff through, I was like, accounting and audit seems pretty boring, but this tax stuff seems quite interesting. So I went into my accounting interview and they were like, have you got any questions for us? Yeah, can I do tax instead? No, we're not recruiting tax people. We're looking for an accountant. So I joined as an apprentice accountant at a small firm that had about 30 staff. Did accounting and audit for nearly 4 years. Then moved to another small firm that would give me a move into tax.
Okay.
So for them, I did sort of a 50-50 role of half audit and half tax. And with it being sort of local, yes, you got to speak to people and build relationships and that sort of thing with private businesses. But they were all, here's a box of receipts. Can you do my VAT return? Can you do my tax return?
Everything.
Can you do everything? And I was one of a 4-man tax team where no matter what came through the door, there was a 1 in 4 chance they got me giving them the answer. So if it was inheritance tax, 25% chance it was me. If it's stamp duty, it's me. If it's corporation tax, it could be me. If it's income, so whatever it was, you got one of the 4 of us that dabbled across the taxes. And I felt that there was probably more interesting, bigger work that could be done. But still recognising that as a personality, I'm probably not your boardroom corporate. I'm not the sort of person you'd put in front of the board of Barclays because I'm too outspoken, I'm too forward. I like to speak my mind, I like to challenge people, and so private business is definitely the space for me. I thought, having had a mixed background of accounting and tax, that I'll go and get a bigger name on my CV, and then I'll probably drop into industry and become a CFO. So I went to PwC, as it turned out, with the intention of doing a couple of years to get it on my CV. And I thoroughly failed at my attempts to go get some experience and then become a CFO because 15 years later I'm leading the team that I joined.
Amazing.
And I think as I was leaving the last small firm, the messages that I was getting was, you'll be a number, it'll be a hen house, you'll be expected to work all hours under the sun. They don't spend, like they're not interested in private business. You don't get to spend time with clients and build relationships. And as it turns out, all of that is an absolute load of rubbish.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Do you think, starting from that sort of smaller firm background, how did that help you in your sort of, journey within PwC?
Yeah. So I suppose the big strength of PwC, and I will answer the question, but this is sort of important to the answer, is that we have, unlike that smaller firm where there was a 1 in 4 chance I was answering whatever the tax question was, if there is a specialist question on VAT or there's a specialist question on something to do with debt or overseas companies or whatever, we've got a specialist that does absolutely everything. And what that means is I don't have to guess. I can build my relationships with clients and talk broadly about lots of different things. But when it gets down to the nitty gritty, there is a whole network of people behind me. That means I don't have to be risky or worried that I don't know what I'm doing, and if that makes sense. So, coming from a small firm where I've done lots of different things, it puts me in an absolutely awesome position to build relationships, particularly with founders of businesses, because one minute they'll want to talk about their staff, the next minute they'll want to talk about their own personal situation or succession and passing to the kids or whatever it is, and they'll jump around a lot. And my background, having done lots of different things, allows me sort of a really good, I suppose, breadth of experience that enables me to have those conversations to a point and say, I express a view, I think this, I think that, I know about this, I know about that. But I'm not scared to say to somebody, right, we've got to the end of my college knowledge. This is the end of what I know from what I've done to date. But we've got such and such back at the office and they've done this on 10 of my other clients. So the big strength of coming from a small place is actually that ability to build relationships and have a slightly broader knowledge away from the specialist nature that people that have come up through PwC from the beginning. I do have a team of generalists, but they'll be general in that they'll be corporate private business generalists or they'll be a private client generalist. So they'll do bits and pieces across lots, but they'll have never done any VAT, they'll have never done a bit of stamp duty, they won't have had to have filed a VAT return, or there'll just be things that they haven't done that when you come from a smaller place, you tend to have seen and experienced more, which whilst you might come in and become more focused under the way we work, that background sets you in great stead to go out and build those relationships, build markets, build a career.
And flipping that, what were the biggest challenges that you faced initially going into PwC?
Well, my first day at PwC was interesting because I've got a staff number at PwC. I'm not going to share it, but I got there and got given a 6-digit number. I got lined up against a wall for my photo for my staff card, and I was like, I've been given a number, been given a card. Oh no, everything they told me is going to come true. It's going to be a hen house upstairs, and I'm not going to get to go out and see anybody and all that sort of stuff. And actually, I dropped into a team of people that like golf, people that like football, people that have got kids, people that haven't, people that like to walk at weekends, people that like to play computer games. Both me and one of the other partners in my office in Birmingham are avid gamers. So when PlayStation 5 came out, we both got one of those, and we talk about the games that we play.
Love it.
I very quickly got into, actually, I've come from a small firm where there's 30 people, and I feel like I'm part of a family. And I've come into a team that's got 40 people, which the Birmingham private business, private client team is about 40, 45 people now. But we all know each other. We all know our backgrounds of each other. We go to the pub for lunches. We'll go for drinks after work. You get certain people will be in slightly late because they're doing different things, or it just works for them. So the biggest surprise was coming in and finding that small firm that I loved inside of a big firm that I now had access to. But in terms of challenge, it was getting used to not having to do everything myself, I suppose.
Did you ever at any point feel an imposter syndrome?
Still to this day.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say that probably 75% of the partners at PwC will at some point feel like an imposter. And coming through the partner process a few years ago, I was talking to lots of them, and the guy, because I was like, I'm going to get found out on this, I'm not going to make it through. And,
Seriously?
yeah, genuinely. And they were like, I'll let you into a little secret. I think this all the time, and like the partner that I was talking to was a large corporate partner rather than a private business one, but he ran some of the biggest accounts we look after, and he walks into board meetings petrified. But his way of dealing with it is to go through his highlights reel in his head before he goes in. Yes, I deserve to be here and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, for me, I feel quite fortunate as I've gone through my career. I can point to projects or jobs or things that were given to me as an opportunity that led to that step into the next level. So I can think of the transaction that got me from a senior associate, which was the grade I joined at, to manager, where I ended up going head to head with a Grant Thornton partner. And at the time I was a senior associate, or I might have just been a manager there. But I had the support around me that gave me the confidence that I could do that. But the person that picked me to go onto that job was a partner in my team at the time, but there was a chance that they could have picked a lot of other people. And the same going to senior manager, the facts and circumstances around getting to director, I can point to the people that have helped and the jobs that have helped get me there. And so now whenever I go, sort of being completely candid, up until the 5th of April, we were running so hot as a team because of these changes to inheritance tax rules for private businesses that we were absolutely flat out. I hadn't got, not doing 12-hour days. We were still doing 7, 8, 9-hour days for a few weeks. But now it's tailed right off.
Right.
And whilst I can, again, if I sit here and think rationally, I can say, well, this client's going to do that. I need to go and see them. This is going to happen. This is going to come up and I'm going to be busy. But there's still a part of me that thinks, well, if these things don't land and we don't get the work, I'm going to get found out as somebody that doesn't go and win all this work.
Jeez.
And so, yeah, the imposter syndrome is a thing that I think everybody, as they step up a grade, they dive into. I've got to prove myself now. I've been promoted. I've got to prove why I was promoted. When in reality, you're promoted because of what you've done in the past. And you just need to keep doing it. And like the people inside PwC that see me as a specialist in the things I specialise in will still come to me. It's not as if they're going to stop tomorrow. So when I think rationally, I'm absolutely fine. But there is, whenever we go from a busy period to a quiet period, and it does happen, I sit and think, oh, am I going to be found out? Am I going to have as good a year this year as I had last year? Or am I going to do better or whatever? And yeah, that stuff's always there.
What's your view, Dan, on... particularly given obviously your journey and your start, what's your view on applicants coming from university versus those that have done a similar sort of apprenticeship route or, you know, school leavers?
So I'm close to my team in Birmingham. Lots of them have been there for years that have come into the grad scheme, have come through school leavers and that sort of stuff. And I would say probably 90% of the team, maybe a little bit more, have got degrees. Okay. And I could tell you the universities that maybe 2 of them have been to.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. We've got people that have gone to top universities and studied music or done stuff that's absolutely not related to what we do. Right. And we've got so we have graduates that come in, and some of them are great, some of them fly. We have school leavers come in that are not grads, and I've not seen a school leaver flounder yet.
That's very interesting. So I was going to ask actually as to whether you've seen a trend of like the graduates outperform. No. Okay.
No. I think there is. It probably does take slightly longer to go up through the early grades when you are fresh out of school, because there is a level of learning. You've got to do additional qualifications. I did ATT. Right. No, I did AAT as my first qualification. Yeah. Association of Accounting Technicians, before doing ACCA and then doing CTA. And when we have grads come in, they can go straight on to ACA, which is our normal route for people. When they come in as a school leaver, they have to do ATT first. So there's an entry level exam that means it probably takes them slightly longer to develop.
Right.
And there's also a bit of a transition from being at school, being fully under the watchful eye of teachers and being told, here's your timetable and doing it, to being an employee with your own workload and your own calendar to track and all that sort of stuff, where I think you do see a difference in experience, because students have obviously gone, they've got their lecture timetable, but outside of that, they've got all their own study that they've got to do and all the other things that they manage around it, probably juggle a part-time job around it. So there are life experiences that I would say students from or graduates have that maybe school leavers don't have, but it's not always the case.
No.
And we've had a school leaver join us just who, to be honest, the main focus of her interview was around the times that she's worked with other people, led other people and done that sort of thing. And actually what stood her out as a candidate was the fact that she was a gym teacher.
Really?
So she taught gymnastics. She took groups of kids to competitions and that sort of stuff, had done qualifications. And so some of those things you look for around, can somebody juggle learning on the job while studying for a qualification and doing the job? Can they juggle those things? Well, she could demonstrate it because she was a full-time student. She was a gym teacher as a part-time job, and then she was studying for gym teacher qualifications. So there's nothing in the way that we recruit that says you've got to be business trained, or you've got to be super hot at this, or you've got to be super hot at that. And obviously the AI changes and stuff that we're seeing come through. We have massive investment in technology. And so we've got access to ChatGPT. We've got a partnership with a business called Harvey AI that give us some absolutely awesome tech tools that mean coming in from on day one now and getting up the curve on what the tax answer is actually a lot faster than it used to be, because you haven't got to thumb through legislation. You've got the tools. So actually on the recruitment side, the personality traits and the leadership qualities of the individuals we're talking to are far more important than the educational background.
Are there any qualities perhaps like in somebody's CV or, you know, anything that comes up in an interview that you think, yes, tick in the box, that's what I want?
The main thing I look out for in the interviews of people tends to be their drive or their tenacity or the desire to learn, their desire to develop. With a CV, if you've seen that somebody's been somewhere for a little while, not necessarily like 10 years, but if someone's been somewhere for a couple of years and proven that they've changed what they're doing, tried different things, that stands out, because it shows that people aren't scared to get stuck into something that's not necessarily their comfort zone, for example. And we obviously see a lot of CVs of people that have got a lot of compliance experience, particularly coming from outside of the mid-tier, and they talk passionately about this one project that they got to do that wasn't compliance. We helped them do this. They built a new facility and we did some capital allowances. It doesn't necessarily need to be the world's most technical thing,
right? But
the fact that they can point to with passion something else they found really interesting that they want to do, because that is 80% of what they do in my team. Like so where I moved from before, and this is going back, but I think I was doing about 35, 40 corporation tax returns a year, 90 individual self-assessment tax returns, and about 20 trust tax returns. And I did a bit of advisory on top.
Okay.
Whereas now, at partner level, I've got a portfolio probably of about 70 people. We do tax returns on 40, 50% of them.
Right.
And my involvement in the compliance process, even at sort of senior manager level, the weighting of your work would be more 20% compliance, 80% what else are they doing? Okay. They're incentivising staff, they're expanding overseas, they're building this new facility, they want to buy this brand or do that. And so when you're talking to people in interview, if they talk about, oh, I did this really exciting thing, it might have been a capital allowances review on a car park. And I throw that out as an example of somebody I recruited 4 months ago where that was their example. Really? Okay. And they could talk through what they learned. And it's clear that this person has got a thirst for learning, and that you can't teach the desire. No.
What would you say about, 'cause one of the other I suppose, issues that candidates might see that going into a Big Four and potentially PwC is, I'm scared about specialising or specialising. I'm scared of being pigeonholed. What would you say to that?
Nobody is forced to specialise, and the specialists that we've got that focus on the areas that they focus on, they've chosen to do that.
Right.
In every case. So coming into the team that I'm in, I had more private client tax return experience. I joined the corporate team because there was a space. And all that did was level up my corporate knowledge, so I became more of a generalist.
Right.
By joining PwC than I would have been where I was before. And then as I've worked with lots and lots of businesses and they've done lots of reorganisations, I'm one of the people that across the firm people would speak to about demergers or complex reorganisations. There are a handful around the country, but having done so many, I will get questions on those. And there's another guy in Birmingham that's the same. There's a couple of people in London that are the same. There's a couple of people up north that are the same. And so I do have a specialism, but it isn't the way that I describe myself. I'm a relationship holder across 70 private businesses, and I will get dropped into other projects for other people if I can bring experience that they don't have.
Right.
But it's not that I was forced to do that. It's just fascinating, like walking into a room and saying, I can do that better.
Yeah.
I can reorganise this differently. Have you thought about this problem? Have you thought about that? And for me, the reorganisations tend to be quite like emotionally charged for the people you're working with.
Yeah.
So whilst in the PE space, it is typically about an outcome. When you're talking to the founder of a business, being able to sort out their succession or how they expand overseas or whatever, you're talking to the person it's made a massive difference to.
And it's their baby.
It's their baby, absolutely. Yeah. So I like that sort of work because you can see the impact that it has. But still, I will... I was talking to somebody earlier today about properties. I was talking to somebody last week about management incentives. I've had conversations with people about capital allowances and R&D and everything. And again, my small firm background gives me all of that to talk about.
To be able to apply.
To be able to drop into all those different things. And so I am absolutely a generalist, but if we get so far as implementing a share scheme, I would get a senior manager or somebody that focuses on that stuff. And they might work with a generalist who's on the client, but you bring in the skills that make sure you're not exposed. And that way, like I learn, and I still learn now. I still learn loads now. Because somebody in London will do something slightly different to me, but they'll talk about it and all that sort of stuff. So the specialising piece it's a choice people make.
Okay. Do you think your definition of success has changed since you become a partner?
That's an interesting one. I struggled last year. So I'm coming up to the end of my third year as a partner. And at the middle of last year, I was in a pretty rough place because I felt like I wasn't doing enough at home and I wasn't doing enough at work.
Okay.
And actually, in both cases, most of this was in my own head. Right. And this is why I can quite easily say I still feel imposter syndrome to this day. But you always feel like you could do more, or because I'm a partner and we are well looked after, I have to suffer. Like this... being in the privileged position that I'm in, me suffering is okay because it provides amazing life for the people that I love and all that sort of stuff. And actually speaking to a few other people, that, well, no, you're in the position you're in because you bring value. It's not about the hours you work; it's about the difference you make in the time that you make it. And I suppose that for me it was September, October last year, so this is pretty recent. Made a massive difference to my outlook on, well, okay, I'm going to go back through my diary and I'm going to ask a few questions of, am I adding value for me personally? Am I adding value for PwC? Am I adding value to the person that's asking for the time of mine? And if the answer to any of those questions is yes, then I'll do it. But actually, if the answer to those questions is no, I won't.
Yeah. And
that has massively, massively rebalanced what I do when I do it. And all three of those are equally important. The value to PwC stuff drops out of the other two more or less. If it's valuable to me, it tends to make money. If it's valuable to somebody in my team, their career grows, they learn more, they step up, and that's an investment I need to make. And if you do those two things, the value for PwC follows. So I now can't even remember what your original question was.
No, we got there. If you could go back and say one thing to your younger self, sat where you are now, what do you think that would be?
Go sooner, probably.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would have I would say push to get to tax quicker than you did, because the accounting and audit background was helpful, but a few years of it was enough. Because in a tax practice and doing the reorganisations and the demergers and stuff, I know even just a few years of accounting practice sets me apart from people that have only ever done the tax.
Okay.
So move to tax quicker, and then probably once I've done a couple of years in tax, get yourself to a bigger firm, because as much as people will throw out the message that big firms aren't interested in this, and I won't just say like the big four in that regard. I think if I'd have gone from the firm that I was at to a mid-tier, they'd have said the same stuff to me. Actually, they're not local, so how can they possibly be into relationships and all that sort of stuff? And it is utter rubbish. There are so many successful, ginormous privately owned businesses that you'll never experience at a firm like that, and you get such interesting work while still getting to build the relationships. And in terms of the formal stuffiness, my phone, if you looked at my WhatsApp, half of it will be clients. And when like one of them almost exclusively interacts with me through the use of meme, which is a bit unusual. So like every time I send him a scope or a quote for a piece of work, he'll send me a meme of somebody doing this with money, or somebody with like a cap on and an old school accounting machine. And like you just have a laugh with people, and like emails still get plenty of emojis. It's not all dear sir this and dear, like it's none of that.
Right.
This is people that like to have a laugh and like to have fun, but they work hard. But you can work hard and still have fun. I mean, when I first joined PwC and decided actually that I quite like this, I've not got to wait for somebody to die or leave before I can get promoted. If I prove myself, I can actually get promoted. There were a few people like, if you want to get promoted, you need to put the hours in. And I was like, do I, or do I just need to be better than you lot? And all I'm going to do is I'm going to show in a 7.5 hour day I can do more than you lot can do in 10. And if I do that and I work efficiently and I'm not scrolling through Facebook or anything like that, I will prove that I can do this. And so yes, there are bits of overtime, and there are, but like my average week now is probably a 45-hour week.
Okay.
If it's super busy, it could be 50 plus. But that is the exception, not the rule. Okay. And there are, if you're in the deals practice, it's different. They work crazy hours, they work till stupid o'clock in the morning and all that sort of stuff. If you talk to lawyers on lots of the jobs I talk to, they do work crazy hours. And I was on a transaction a few years ago with a big law firm, like one of the top 2 in the UK, and they said to the client quite openly, you're obviously a client of ours, whatever hour of the day you need us, you phone us up. And if that's 4 a.m, you phone us at 4 a.m.
Wow.
And immediately after they said that, I said, I'm the person designing your structure. I've got to problem solve. If you want me to get it right, don't call me after 9 o'clock. And they were like, fine. And the reality was they don't call you after 6 o'clock, so it's fine.
Good.
But that's not to say that we're not committed to our clients. And I've said this to many clients as well, that if you need me till 4 a.m, and it will get a transaction done, and it is life or death, I'll be by your side because we've built a relationship, we're partners in this, I will be there for you. But if you tell me that's needed and you've lied to me, I will never do it again.
There you go.
And so, but I suppose the main thing I would say with this isn't boardrooms, this isn't suits and ties and polish your shoes and city of whatever, London finance district and that sort of thing. This is privately owned businesses that are people first. Yes, the business is important, but they're people first. And equally, the team that you need to work with them and build relationships with them have got to be people first. And business advisors second, and then tax advisors third.
A question that we're asking partners and everybody that's coming onto this podcast at the moment in tax is around counter offers. We're seeing so many counter offers flying around the market, as soon as somebody goes to hand in their notice. What's your view personally on counter offers?
It depends.
Okay.
And from a recruitment perspective, I was talking to somebody this morning that will hopefully be joining PwC later in the year, and I've given them an offer that gives them a slight increase in what they're earning, but it is a slight increase, a few thousand, and have been pretty clear that I'm not getting into a bidding war with where they're at now.
Yeah.
This is the offer. This is the role that we'll give you. This is the coaching and the support and the stuff that will take you from where you are now to higher places, hopefully. And this is an SM, so it's a fairly senior person anyway. And they've not yet gone back to their firm, but they've told us that they'll be moving regardless. And I know that other firm will counter 10, 20 grand more probably than what we are. But it's not all about the money. And the pay rises are nice, but the focus for me in my journey at PwC has been learn the next thing and do the next thing, because you can see there are grades, you can see there are pay rises, so earn them and get them, and the rest will take care of itself. The flip side of that on people leaving us, I think on occasion we've probably counted. I've had 2 that we know are going at the moment that we haven't counted, and the move is the right thing for them. We have, in the last couple of years, put a couple of our senior managers have actually gone in to do in-house tax roles at clients. And in each case, it's been the right move for that person.
Right.
And in one of the instances, it wasn't even on the person's radar. But we knew from some of the stuff they were talking to us about balancing work life, wanting to do a specific type of work, wanting this, wanting that, wanting this flexibility, that whilst we can offer lots of it, this client turned around and said, this is what we're looking for. And we were like, that is bang on what they've been asking for ages.
Right.
So let's ask them if they fancy it. And it's a loss to our team, but we can find somebody else to upskill and train and fill that gap. But that role for that individual was the perfect role. So we were like, go and do it.
And that's such a lovely attitude to take, because it can get so emotional when it comes to people handing their notice in from both sides. And you think, if it's been left on a good note, and we've seen it happen so many times at PwC where people have come back to PwC because they've said, look, they kept the door open to me. They recognised that there was an opportunity for me to do something different. I went, I did it. It didn't work out longer term. And so I came back.
So we've got at the moment, one I found out about this morning, a senior manager that left us a few years ago to go to a small firm part time,
right, to
be closer to home and all that sort of stuff, and probably further on in their career than some of the team, or certainly the people that typically want to join us. But we now have a role come up where somebody can support our private business team from a knowledge perspective. So somebody reached back out to that person and said, well, actually, this role might suit you. Do you want to look at it? And they're coming back. I've had directors or SMs go to Deloitte and to EY and other places and come back. We've just had one person that left in Scotland 12 months ago to go to a small firm, is now back in Scotland as a director again.
Right.
I've got a person in my team who was gone and done, got to tax manager in my team and then decided they fancied more experience on what like internal finance would look like. So they went and became like the financial controller for our medical practice that we've got under the London office.
Okay.
she's done that for a couple of years and I got a text message yesterday or the day before saying, I'm now 100% wanting to get back into tax, so can I come back? And so it's not just the leave to other places, and yes, we'll support people if it's the right move for them, but actually there are roles, that's the other thing that you don't have at a smaller firm. There isn't necessarily a corporate finance practice, or there isn't an in-house finance function, or there isn't a knowledge team, because everyone's got to be fee generators, whereas at PwC we've got all these other things that add to what the fee earners or the client relationship team are doing, that people go and try and explore, and they do it. And we get secondees into my team from other teams, and I'm like, you'll never go back. You won't leave PB.
There you go.
PB's ace.
Final question for you, Dan. Tell us one thing that people might not know about you.
Oh, this was the one question I hated.
I thought it might be.
The one thing that people might not know about me. I have no idea how to answer that.
What do you love doing outside of work?
I love everything to do with sport. I played hockey for a National League team growing up. I played hockey for Wales, the full national side, which was quite cool. I now play golf. I figured there were two ways to become a professional golfer: become a professional golfer, or become a professional and play golf. And that has worked quite well for me since I joined PwC, actually, because you'd be surprised that there are so few people that actually play golf, that when clients have golf days or want to go and play golf, like there are only a handful of people that actually do it. So
right, okay.
You get the opportunity to go out and play. But I take my little boy to the cricket to watch the 100 at Edgbaston and love it. He's 7 and loves cricket. And that's an interesting one, actually, because he's moved on to hardball cricket now, which at 7, I'm like, I'm fine for you to do it, but when this hits you, it hurts.
Yeah.
So the first time it hit him in training, he cried, but everyone else around him's like 3 or 4 years older. I'm like, I told you it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything to do with sport I love. As I've already said, I'm an avid gamer. So playing computer games with my kids, with my 2 brothers, and my wife when I can talk her into it. So yeah, those are the things I enjoy outside of work. And I suppose this will surprise people, I guess. But me and a guy who is coming back to PwC as a partner soon, he'd gone down to a mid-tier firm. It was from director to us to partner there. Has come back. He and I go on golf tour each year, and like we're a complete pair of muppets.
Really?
We just have a laugh. And I say this to my little boy when he says, "Oh, I don't want to grow up." I'm like, let you in on a little secret. Guys don't grow up. We just get bigger. And me and this guy who's coming back to PwC as a partner, and we're both very, very good at what we do. And can be serious when we need to, but we're a pair of clowns. We're a pair of clowns that for some reason people have put us into high-powered positions, and like we love it and we're super fortunate about it. But the whole thing through PwC is people first, and then the job second.
Dan, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your time today. This obviously concludes another episode of the ProTax podcast, and we look forward to welcoming you to the next one. Thank you so much. Thanks, Dan.
Cheers. Thank you for having me.